Hi guys, it's Malia from Play-Doh to Play-Doh. I am so excited because this week we are going to be diving into 5 insanely simple word work activities you can do in your classroom that your students will beg to do over and over again. I promise all of these ideas are really quick and simple to set up, but they are super motivating. And if your classrooms are anything like mine were when I was still in the classroom full-time, this time of year can be kind of challenging. We have kids who are thinking about spring break, or they have spring fever, or it's just really pretty outside and they want to stare out the window instead of thinking about what's going on in the classroom. So we have to bring our A game every single day, right? So these ideas are going to help you motivate those kids, bring them back and keep them engaged and learning from now until the end of the school year. So before we dive in, I wanted to make sure that I passed along a freebie that would help you in case you're thinking, gosh, I love doing word work activities, but it is so hard to keep track of what kids need to be practicing next. So I actually created these about a year ago. They are free sight word lists. I have a set that goes for the Dolch list if your school uses that. There's also a set that goes with the Fry words. And then if you are in a private school or your district doesn't dictate exactly what words kids need to be working on, in what sequence they need to be working on, you can use a third option, which actually combines the Dolch and Fry words and organizes them based on their frequency, so how often kids will see them in books and magazines as they're reading. So you have 3 different options. I like to print my lists on color-coded, bright color-coded paper just because it helps me easily see what the kids are working on. So for example, if this was my pre-primer group, all of the kids would have a green list, and then when they were working in their word work activities, they would be pulling activities from a green bin, for example, or they might be pulling activities from a green folder. So I like to match the list with the actual basket of activities that they're working on. Another example would be if this was my primer group of kids that were working on primer words, everything that they grabbed would be on pink. So I just happen to be type A. I love organization, and so color coding for me is really useful, but obviously you can find a system that works best for you in your classroom. So I'm going to include that link at the top of this video so you can grab those if they'll come in handy. But let's go ahead and dive into this first simple word work activity. This one, you have played this before sometime in your lifetime, I promise, but we're going to take a classic game and we are going to twist it. So we're going to actually play Tic Tac Toe. Now, to start, I like to add just fun little pops of excitement to games whenever possible. So to play, I have just taken paper, cut little squares or little rectangles, and then on each rectangle I have a different sight word that I'd want this group to be working on. So you'll remember that I color code, so since the words are written on bright pink, these words would be the words that my bright pink primer group would be practicing. So this is going to be their activity at their table. So these are their words. I have the word can on the list. I have some others. I'm going to go ahead and just drop those into a cup. This is just a jarring, a cup that you can use for canning, but you could use a plastic cup for this as well. And then find a sock from your drawer. I have to tell you, it was quite a chore trying to find fun socks because our family has been having a very hard time keeping socks. We always have one, but not the pair. I don't know if you have that problem too, but I don't know what happens. They just mysteriously vanish. And so I have gone I've decided to implement a new system with our sock drawer. We all wear white socks, so trying to find something fun for this activity was a little bit of a challenge, but I managed to scrounge up some socks that I had from a couple years ago. Anyway, okay, so here is our fun sock. Now when kids reach into the sock and pull out a word, there's definitely no peeking because the only thing that will fit inside the leg of that sock is, of course, their hand and arm. And now they pull out the word and their word is you. So the first player is going to reach in, pull out a word. This is the word they're going to be writing during the first round of Tic Tac Toe. they'll be writing you. Then the second player reaches in, pulls out a word. Whatever word they pull out, that's going to be their word for the game. So to play, each player will write their name in the box here. So player 1 writes you, player 2 writes their name, and then they go ahead and just take turns playing tic-tac-toe just like usual. But instead of writing X's and O's, they are writing their sight words. So you can see when the game is all done, you have the words to and you. They got the person with you had 3 in a row, so they won the game. Does that make sense? So again, this is a freebie. You can grab this at the link just above this video. But again, it's a super simple twist on a classic game, and I promise you your kids are going to beg to play that over and over again. They can just reach in, grab a new word, and start a new round. The next activity is also super simple. It's called Magic Words, and any kid who has ever played this begs to do it over and over again. So there is a sheet that I'm passing along to you this week. All you're going to do is have your kids write their words with white crayon. Now, when they first write them down, it's kind of unnerving because it looks like they haven't done any work, because a white crayon on white paper, of course, looks like nothing. It looks like a blank page. But once they take a marker, just a regular marker, I used Crayola, but you can use whatever markers you have in your classroom, and they color over the white crayon, their words magically appear, which is why we get the name Magic Words. So you can grab this freebie as well. Next, we have word squares. This is another one of those classic games from our childhood that we're just going to go ahead and twist a little bit. So here's the sheet that you're going to be getting. And to play word squares, you are going to take turns drawing lines that connect 2 dots. So if player 1 was going, they might choose to connect this dot and this dot. They can only draw one line between 2 dots. Then it's player 2's turn. So they might decide to connect these 2 dots. Player 1 goes, they might connect these 2, and they keep going. Now, as they go back and forth, eventually one of the players is going to make a square, just like that. And every time they close that square, the player that closes it gets to earn that as a point. So when they earn it, usually with this game, they would just write their initials in the middle, but today we're going to have them switch it and write their sight words. So in that example that we had before where our player pulled out the word you, if they pulled out that word, they would write the word you in the center. So by the time that they've worked their way through the page, and either the time runs out, because this is one of those games that can be played when you have just 5 spare minutes and you're getting ready to get to music class and need a time filler. So let's pretend that it's time for music class. Now they need to head out the door. Now they have their game. They've gotten a lot of squares. They're going to count the number of squares each player has, and the player with the most squares wins. But each player has had the chance to write their sight words a number of different times. So they practice their sight word several times over and over. So hopefully we're building that memorization so that they know those words automatically when they see them. This next activity is using one of my favorite tools. If you watched the STEM video from last week, you will remember that I am in love with our balance. I don't know if it's the color or just the simplicity of the activity, but I have a love affair with this balance. And it's funny because we get so many questions from people who are wondering where we got this particular balance. So if you are one of those people, I'm including the Amazon affiliate link in the caption above this as well, just so you can grab your own. I grabbed this from Amazon a couple years ago. I just checked the price this morning, and it's actually less expensive now than when I bought it. So it's $9. So you just need to grab this balance. Again, we're going to have kids pick words. So for this one, I just wrote the words on cards. You could use index cards as well. And then kids are going to pick 2 words at random. So let's pretend that they pick the word me. We'll see if this is going to cooperate and balance for us. And the word up. Okay. Ooh. Bear with me a little bit. Okay, so we're going to know, can you kind of see it like that? It's kind of sideways, but okay, so we have me here and the word up here. We're going to pretend those are the words that they picked. Now we want to see what word weighs more. Try saying that 5 times fast. So we're going to go ahead and have our kids grab the alphabet magnets that they need to make those words. So for the word me, we need an M. So here's our M. And we need an E. And then for the word up, we need a U and a P. And when we balance it out, you can see that me is further down. It's sitting further down. So me is actually heavier than the word up. So me would win. Just by having kids do this little experiment, they're practicing spelling and they're also practicing letter recognition. So we're strengthening their ability to recognize those sight words when they see them in books and in other stories and that kind of thing later on. Now, one tip that I found from a veteran teacher that I just loved was a little trick to help kids keep track of those alphabet letters, because I don't know about you, but I struggle to keep an entire collection of 26 matching alphabet letters. For some reason, they're like socks. Actually, the alphabet magnets are like socks, and they tend to just mysteriously disappear. So a teacher actually color-coded her alphabet magnets. She used spray paint. She laid the alphabet magnets on a huge flat piece of cardboard and then spray painted one batch red with spray paint, let those dry, then took another batch of alphabet magnets, laid those out, spray painted that one blue, and so on. So now the kids know that if they find a red alphabet magnet, it goes with the red set. If they find a blue alphabet magnet, it goes with the blue set. Isn't that genius? I love learning those kinds of little tricks. So hopefully that'll help you in your classroom too. So our last one is actually a word work board game. So I love rainbows any time of year, but of course spring is a great time to bring out rainbow activities, especially because we're seeing rainbows in the sky. So here is our editable word work game. Now to play this is like all of our editable games. You are going to type in the words that you want your kids to work on. So remember, we have those lists that I showed you at the very beginning. If your kids were working on a primer list, you could type in their primer words into the board game. For your pre-primer kids, then you could switch them out and just type in their different words onto the board game. So once you type them in, it goes into the right spot and you just hit print and it's all set to go. So here's our game. To play, it's really simple. Kids are just going to roll the die, move that many spaces. So they would start on the start and then they'd count 1, 2, 3, 4. If they rolled 4, they'll read the word he, they'll spell the word he, H-E, and then they're going to write the word on their record sheet. So I did this one for you as an example so you can see. So they'll write the word under player 1. Then when player 2 goes, she rolls, she reads, she spells, and then both players are going to write that word under player 2. That way they're getting extra practice. They're not only writing their own words, but they're also writing their partner's words, so that hopefully they'll get that automaticity that we're hoping for. So they just keep going along until somebody reaches the finish line. Now, with these games, they move pretty quickly, and so I like to have kids, once they reach finish, I like to have them just scoot their playing piece back to start and start again until time is up. You can obviously do it however you'd like, but I found that that keeps them engaged and they know exactly what to do once they get to the finish. They're not done. They have to start again and keep going. So you guys, that is 5 simple activities that you can do in the classroom to help make word work time more exciting and motivating for your kids. Next week, we have preschool math games. I'm so excited to show you all of the things that I have in store for you. We are going to be moving beyond the numbers 1, 2, 3 and really stretching the activities to keep preschool math exciting and fun for our students. Now, if you have anything on your wish list that you'd like us to cover during these videos, please, please, please add a comment in the box right below this video. We're compiling a list and working our way through it, so I promise that we will get to your idea as soon as possible. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay inspired.